Obviously the time, he's still got some rust he's got to get off and things of that nature, but I don't think he's close to back to where he was in 2 days and those things. In that time, Chamberlain's obviously improved and things, so we'll be able to play both of them. But he is the stingers that he's been having have not reoccurred over the last 2 weeks. Probably, to be perfectly honest with you, just another couple of days of consistency. Flashes that I've seen, I feel really good about him being able to play, but just another couple of days of consistency. Obviously, today's a big third down day for us. How's he going to be able to protect and things of that nature? Just the whole week of what the whole Monday through Thursday encompasses, but the first 2 days, I feel confident that he'll be able to go out there and help us. The way that they practiced, though, would be the number one thing. Practices we're moving faster, we're more physical. That may have something to do with a lot of other coaches as well, but I think there was you can feel it a little bit that the kids have embraced change, and I'm saying a lot of that's probably because of Kenny.
Communicating the blocking scheme, the protection, was that part of the maybe too much offense? Was that part of it just as much as anything else?
Yeah, it really was. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to get it. I don't really want to go back too far, but yes.
All right, everybody, welcome. It's Wednesday. We're halfway there, baby. Halfway there. Let's get this thing started. I have no idea what layout we're using here. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Yo, there we go. We got the football digs this time. We had basketball on Monday. We've moved over to the football, the football look here today, the aesthetic, if you will. All right. Also, check this out. Watch this. Watch the bottom of the screen. You guys ready for this? Hold on. Unfortunately, I can't do them both at the same time. There's the bloop. There's the black screen, and there's the names. There we go. Tuss Talk with Ty legendary status members down at the bottom of the screen. Check that out. So cool. All right. Yeah, we dropped under 60. Unfortunately, we were we were doing really good there. We were doing so good, and then the last few days. We lost some Patreon supporters, so that sucks. But I do appreciate those of you who who have so far stuck it out. So we came close to 60. We were so close. We were almost there, man. All right, we're gonna get to. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to fire away. Obviously, there at the beginning, Sam Pittman talked a little bit about what's going on at practice. Now, you guys are asking me about practice. It is closed to the media. We have not been to practice for 2 weeks. So we've missed essentially 4 days if you go back to the bye week and then this week. So there's been no access to practice at all. None. Zero. Zilch. So I have no idea what they've looked like. All we have to go by is what Sam tells us. So we're pretty limited. But it's Guiton's show, I think, for the most part, on the offensive side of the ball. Obviously, he's never called plays as a coordinator in his coaching career wherever he's been. We know he was a backup at Ohio State. He had some pretty big plays. He's got an interesting highlight reel. He's certainly a ball player. There's no doubt about it. He was a ball player, but never called plays before. So he's going down to Gainesville. The timing's perfect, right? You're coming off this bye week. You got a couple of weeks to kind of prepare. Do you wish maybe we'd seen a little bit? Maybe, maybe let's say going into Mississippi State, there was no Dan Enos. They decided to pull the trigger before, and maybe we got to see Kenny Guiton run or push the buttons to the offense against a bad Mississippi State defense. It'd be nice, right, to say that we've at least seen a little bit of kind of, we would have an idea of what to expect, but at the same time, it's a little bit exciting, right? So no, James Swope, I have not seen practice. I have not seen it. I don't know why y'all are talking about Gruden. Wow. I mean, guys, we're focused on what's going on this week. Hang on just a second here. Terser87 says, I wonder if he'll ever just be run-of-the-mill honest with us rather than perfectly honest with us. Overachiever. Yeah. I've also got some other stuff that he said. There were some parts of this. If you guys haven't watched the entire him talking to the media today, he said a couple things. Well, one thing that was really interesting that involved a certain player came out of nowhere for me. I did not really expect this player's name to get dropped, and he dropped him, and then talking about what he wanted to maybe do with him, also interesting. So we'll get to that in just a minute. Also tomorrow, Patreon supporters, all currently 57 of you, I think is what we're at, you're going to have access, just you, only you, assuming you're still signed up, you will have access to Southeastern 14's Blake Lovell. If you don't already watch their channel for basketball content, they kill it. They crush it. They're good at everything they cover, but Blake Lovell is one of my favorite people to listen to break down not just the Razorbacks but other SEC opponents. He can do it in a way that everybody can kind of understand. He is really good at what he does, so I'm really happy. We're going to get him tomorrow at 10 a.m. Remember that that post will be on Patreon, so you've got to be a member in order to have access to it. If you guys are curious about joining, let me hit you up with the link if you're not already a subscriber. We got to break the 60. I think we've already hit the deadline. I don't think we can now officially cross 60. I could be wrong. Let me get you that link here really quick. Copy. Paste. There we go. Boom. Boom, boom, boom. Yeah, y'all are going on about Gruden, guys. Gruden is, you. Let's just focus week to week for crying out loud. Holy cow. Yeah, we're going to get Gruden. Yeah, we're going to go after Gruden. No, we're not. No. There's already baggage there with the emails, all that stuff. Whether or not you think it was a problem, it doesn't matter. Hunter Yurchek's not going to, and I don't think he would have no interest in coming here anyways. Ty, do you think Arkansas football could be a top 12 playoff eligible in the future? Basketball and baseball recruit at a high level, including out-of-state recruits and transfers. Can football? ? That's a really good question. First, before I answer that, shout out again to Patreon supporters, but of course to the sponsors of this show, Direct Service Overhead, the Garage Door Company. They operate in Central Arkansas and in Northwest Arkansas. They offer same-day services, quality parts, affordable outcomes, better than best results. 501-244-3667. The link is provided for you down below. Shout out to Travis. He's the guy that's responsible for all this new pretty art on the channel. I don't know. I know he comes through and he watches about everything I do. So, Travis, I know you're watching this. I'm expecting a text from you later. I'm sure you're going to say something about, I don't know. Maybe I'm bragging too much on your art, but you kill it, man. You kill it. I love the work. I would not have this layout without you, my friend. Thank you so much. And, of course, your company as well, sponsoring the show. Also, shout out to the Odd So Craft Bar Pizzaria, located on Emma Street, right here in downtown Springdale. Wonderful, wonderful pies. Great stuff on tap. Very friendly, people there, really good people over at the Odd Soul. And yeah, I mean, they're conveniently located right on Emma Street, real easy to find. So go get some pie and tell them Ty sent you. All right. Okay. Can Arkansas compete? I'm glad because we've only got a couple. Like, we're going to try and break down a little bit about what Sam said. We're not going to do the PIP picture-in-picture thing where we got Sam on the lower part of the screen, and I'm kind of, I'm not going to do that today. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm running a little short on time. My goal is to keep this. You guys know how this works out. My goal is to keep this a little bit shorter today. We got a lot of stuff going on here in the Hudson household, and then I got to finish preparing for tomorrow's interview with Blake Level. Again, from Southeastern 14. You need to go check them out, and you need to go subscribe to them. Again, quality content over there. Love what they do. Can Arkansas be competitive so when they expand the playoffs, can Arkansas get there? I mean, they have before. Petrino has done it. I mean, you got to think, how many times have you finished the regular season ranked somewhere in the top 12, right? Assuming, we got to remember, you're going to have your official ranking, right, your AP, and then you're going to have college football playoff ranking. So just because you're maybe 14th in the AP, you might, I'm assuming this is how this is going to work moving forward unless they made some kind of change that I'm unaware of, you could still get a bid into the playoffs. So the human factor is still there. It's not a perfect system. I don't like it. I would prefer it to mimic something more like the NFL, but we don't have the NFL is just the NFL, right? In the NCAA, you have the ACC, the Big Ten, the Big 12, the PAC, the SEC, and then of course we know about the money that's involved individually between these programs, and then it's kind of a mess. But we are what we are, and we have what we have. Can Arkansas? So let's say realistically, if you're an SEC team and you're somewhere in the top 14, top 15. I don't know what that record would probably look like a 9-3, maybe 9-3. Would a 9-3 team get into the playoffs? Probably. Out of the SEC, maybe. It just depends on what everyone else looks like in front of you. Now, if you're going to ask me, can they do that consistently? No, I don't think they. I don't think they can. I'm not saying. When I mean consistently, I mean like every year. They're at least a contender to make the playoffs. And I say no because they've never done it in my lifetime. Maybe in the early 80s, in early mid-80s with Ken Hatfield. Of course, I think the year I was born, Lou Holtz was fired. I was born in 83. Wasn't that the year he was fired? I get that. 82, 83, somewhere in there. Holtz was great. Kenny Hatfield was great. But that was a different time, a different era. We've never... In the modern era of college football, Arkansas has never finished. I mean, really, think about the last time you finished. And consistently is not 2 years. Consistently is 4, 5, 6 years. Can they consistently get to that level? I don't think they can. I really don't. I think what you could hope for, and that's not the end of the world. Okay, that's like saying, is Arkansas a BCS team every year during the BCS era? They weren't. They made one BCS bowl. And again, they should have won, by the way, against Kenny Guiton. I mean, the story, Ohio State, trading the personal merch for tattoos. Not that Guiton did that, but some of the other players did that. Shouldn't have played, should have been suspended, but whatever. Arkansas still should have won that damn game. But yeah, they've never been at that level, even when they had Petrino. Now, if we rewound the clock and lived in another universe, could Petrino have done that? Maybe. It's possible. But in my lifetime, they've never been consistently great. Now, can they get there, make it a couple of years in a row where, oh, my God, they could make the playoffs, the 12-team playoff? I think they could. Yeah, sure. I mean, they were damn close under Nutt making multiple BCS bowls. They were close, man. They just had to get through the gauntlet of the SEC. And that's the other problem is this conference isn't getting weaker. It's getting stronger. Or if not stronger, it's at least staying in that level of being the best. Now, a conversation I had with Mark Rogers, by the way, I was on Mark Rogers' show yesterday, I think that video is already published, but we talked before we went live about how good the Big Ten is going to be next year and how it very well could. I think there's a gap between the SEC and the Big Ten, but I think next year, I'm telling you guys, with who they're bringing in, look how good the pack is right now. Now, a lot of that's quarterback led, and a lot of those quarterbacks are about to leave. You got the questions of Lincoln Riley and USC and all that, all the nonsense that's happening over there. Big Ten's going to be stout if these teams can stay on that, on that upwards trajectory, that they're on, and maybe eventually surpass the SEC. Which, listen, it's weird to say this, but I think something like that could benefit college football. You need a little bit more randomness. So, yeah, and I'm not hating on Arkansas. I'm not saying they can't win. I think they can win 8 games a year. I certainly believe that is something that with the facilities, the influence, the regional influence, I think they can still walk into Fort Worth, Dallas, and walk out with some pretty good players. There's some other parts of Texas I hope they eventually turn into a pipeline. But, we talked about that in the was that Patreon Discord, I think. We talked about some of that a little while back. Maybe that was main chat. We were talking about recruiting certain other areas of Texas that we haven't before and we might need to do. We know that they like to recruit Georgia. We know that they like to recruit South Georgia. So stay on this level of this upwards trend in recruiting. I mean, think about this. If Sam Pittman does keep his job, now I think to do that he's got to win 2 games. I could be wrong, but I think he's got to win 2 games. If they can hold on to these players, and don't ask me if they can or not. I have no idea. I don't talk to them. I don't know. But if they can hold on to 95% of these players, 95%, try to hold on to all those big-time 4 stars they got, and they can kill it in the portal, who knows, right? Who knows? Sam, the question right now, though, is can Sam right the ship? That's what we're focused on right now. We could talk all about can Arkansas eventually do this, that, and the other. Again, in my lifetime, they haven't been able to, other than when they were in the Southwest Conference when I was knee-high to a grasshopper, okay, when the Ninja Turtles were still awesome, when the Transformers. I had a dream once that I was a mechanic for the Transformers. I was a mechanic. I worked on the Transformers. I was talking to a friend today about that. But that was the last time when I was having those dreams as a kid about working on Optimus Prime's shoulder and his gun. And, that was the last time that Arkansas was like, yeah, no, this is a team, pretty good, right? They're winning back when you played how many games? 11 games a year. They're winning like 9 games a year. That was a different era. Now in this era, in the SEC, in this current status of college football, it's hard to see Arkansas ever being a team that can consistently make the 12-team playoff. A better question would be, could they get there within the decade? Can they get there within the decade, right? And that's a question I don't have the answer to. There isn't a massive gap between no, there's not. I don't know if maybe you misheard me a little bit there, but no, I said there's a tiny gap. I don't think the SEC and the Big Ten, I don't think they're that far apart. Don't get me wrong, probably depending on the matchups, I almost always pick the SEC to outpace the Big Ten in bowl games, in terms of wins and losses. But let's see here. Let's scroll up. Remember to like, share, subscribe. And again, if you guys want to join, if you want to join Patreon, that link is provided for you down below. I feel like Sam is lying to the fans. Johnny, you're going to have to explain on that part. Petrino couldn't beat Bama either, though he hasn't yet. Oh, you're okay. I'm kind of trying to read all around here. That sucks, Ty. Why not let our media in there to bring hope to the fans? We don't want to. Yeah. He said when was that? Monday, that they don't mind us being in there. Then why not let them in? I don't know. I don't get it. Arkansas plays for the Liberty Bowl, not national titles. I keep forgetting that. I mean, right now that is certainly the truth, and for the majority of my life, that's been the case. Be thankful. Again, this is what I tell people. There's no convincing the single sport fans, the single sport Razorback fans who only pay attention for college football. It's like, look, I can't – listen, that's like trying to convince me to maybe get into hockey. I just can't. I've tried to try and convince football fans to get into basketball or to get into baseball. It's impossible, especially baseball, the sport that you really are a nationally recognized program. Okay, you can ask any – big-time high school player, and they're probably considering Arkansas, right, out of high school. Any big-time programs in high school, like, hey, what are some of the better programs that come through here and recruit pretty well or that are at least recognized amongst the players? They're going to tell you Arkansas. They're a powerhouse. Despite, I know we get pissy when they don't make Omaha. I get it. That's the expectation. That's the difference between baseball and every other sport, right? Football is just it's an uphill climb, and the reason why, first off, there's only so many big time players, right? And you got Alabama, they've got to recruit the same amount of players. Now the portal has changed things a little bit, right? And I think Arkansas has shown, even in mediocrity, even when they're only so, they've been able to do a pretty good job in the portal. I mean, that's saying something. Imagine if Arkansas could ever get back to the trajectory that Petrino had you, what kind of damage they could do in that portal. It would be special. I think they could crush it in the portal. I mean, this is a place where I think when kids get the initial shock and awe from their high school recruiting and the excitement of signing with these big-time programs, and then once they realize, hold up, wait, there's more options out there. What do they look like? Now visiting's different. You can't visit, right? Or you're in some trouble. That school hosting you might be in a little bit of trouble. But when you start looking around a little bit, you start talking to people, you start kind of going outside your bubble a little bit as a college recruit now, because that's what you are when you're in the portal. You're now a college recruit. Now all of a sudden you look at Arkansas and it's like, well, there's playing time, and damn, their facilities are probably about as good, if not better, than most of the SEC. It's attractive here. Fayetteville's attractive. Northwest Arkansas is attractive. It's a place where people want to come raise a family, and they want to go work for. And when you guys talk about Walmart, no, listen. I worked at Sam's Club HQ. Okay, there were former Razorbacks that worked at Sam's Club HQ, but I'll tell you where you find these former athletes and you find the U of A grads. They're working for the vendors that supply Walmart. They're located all over the damn place, mostly actually near where my wife works. They're all over that area of Rogers, over there tucked away behind Pinnacle. Like, it's crazy, right? And so now you kind of you explore the possibilities, and of course a lot of these guys think pros. They're not thinking about, gee golly, I want to go work for 3M, right? I want to go work for Bush's Baked Beans. They're not doing that, but it is certainly something that's like, hey, plan B, by the way, this is like the business capital, the retail business capital of the world, just saying. And it is attractive. And I met those people. I met some of them when I worked at Sam's Club HQ. It is certainly something to think about, but that's one thing. And again, maybe Sam can get you back to that level. I know a lot of you have moved on from Sam. I get it. I hear you. I said a little while back, if you can't get to 5 wins, the further south of 6 you go, he's got to get terminated, right? I said if he only wins 5, I don't know how you justify him coming back for a 5th year. But now it's like, damn, if they can get to 4, he might keep his job. Isn't that wild? That's wild. Let's see. The real question isn't could we. The question is how do we do it again? We could be a 9-win team annually competing for a title every few years. It is possible. The problem again, Steven, is I'm 40 years old and they've never done it. I mean, now again, NIL and transfer portal has changed the landscape of college football. And again, Sam, even throughout the mediocrity, even through, one great season, he's been able to convince players to come here. He has. He did a really good job. Drew Sanders was an absolute kill. Dwight McLaughlin, although I don't know what's going on with him, that's another topic. But they've done a really good job in the portal. We won't talk about the receivers because at the moment, we don't know if it's them or if it was Dan Enos, right? We could talk about Gums. We could talk about some of the transfers here and there, but yeah, I hear you, and I know Hog fans do not like hearing something like that. We've just never done it. Arkansas has never. When was the last time they won 9 games? 9 games 3 years in a row, right? They've won 10. Only one time in SEC history have they had since they've been in the SEC where they've had back-to-back 10-win seasons. That's only ever happened once. The end of the Houston Nutt era, and this is what always gives me hope. The Darren McFadden, Felix Jones, Hillis era, which was incredible. And then you segued from that to the Bobby Petrino era. I mean, you talk about a good time. How for Razorback fans, we were spoiled. Let's not act like we weren't. You know, we were coming off. Houston Nutt was fired. First off, you gave him 10 years. That's a hell of a long time. We all know that. For any era of college football, to get a decade or to get 10 years to coach is incredible. But that ending, and then you segued into Bobby Petrino. So that's what gives me hope. Like, yeah, maybe so. But in order to get there, Sam Pittman has got to right the ship. He's got to find a way to win. I really think the only way you're going to convince fans to be somewhat excited about next year's winning out and showing a good offensive product on the field. I don't know, man. I don't know what to expect. We don't know. If anyone is saying this is what's going to happen, I know it. They don't know it. You're just guessing. Although you can argue I'm sure a lot of us are leaning towards, but the likelihood of them winning out is very narrow, and that's fair, right? That's fair. I'm not saying I know that. I try not to live in certainty, you know. Mid to low tier SEC with an occasional 9+ win season. Best we can hope for. Facts, truth, and history. There you go. I mean, Bumbles bounce, got it. That's it. You know, it's not to say that Arkansas can't be competitive. It's not to say that Arkansas can't be competitive where they're winning 8 games, maybe 7, 8. Maybe they get to that 9th game or 9th win, and then maybe they just blow up one year and they win 10, and we get something similar to 06. You remember that? All that. It's like we knew it was coming. We knew they're gonna turn the corner, and they did. And they won 10 games. You know, and then Petrino back-to-back 10-win, first ever in SEC history for us, for Razorbacks, first time ever and the only time ever. And sadly, they've never come close to that, you know. The money is there to get a guy, says Nat Call, in the HC spot. They just won't do it. Man, come on. They know Arkansas fans don't have any other choice but to show up to Hog games. There's no alternative team. They subpar hire. Nat, that is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. That's so they just won't do it. They just won't do it. They've got all the money in the world. They just won't do it. I think it's a little bit more complicated than that. You have to look at this job through the lens of a head coach. A head coach coming from another school, another program. You know, you have to look at it that way. Petrino, I know he wasn't happy in Atlanta. We've talked about this 1,000 times. But at the time, Arkansas was a respectable SEC program. Probably considered right there, like top 6, top 5, top 6 SEC caliber team who had produced a Heisman, back-to-back Heisman runner-up, multiple first round and All-Americans. There was something there to work with. You haven't had that in a decade. You've not produced that kind of anywhere near that level of excitement there towards the end. I know the Springdale 5 experiment was crazy, and it ended. It was a lot of people are really anti-Houston Nutt. I get it. It could have been a lot better, and I agree with that. At least maybe. I think it could have been. But you don't have those optics right now. The optics are that Arkansas is a place where you're going to go and you might have a hard time. Recruiting here is a little bit challenging. It's just not that simple. Well, they're not throwing money out. It's not that simple, man. Petrino hit his ceiling in year 3 and 4 pretty much everywhere he goes. I think you guys are kind of having your own little give Ty some likes. I appreciate that, Feral Hog, man. Yeah, hit the like button. Historically, we win 7 with a good, happy 9, 10, 11 season. In order to become a powerhouse, we got to have 2 things: a great recruiting staff, consecutive winning at 8, 9, and 10. I agree. It's not impossible. It's just not likely, right? To turn the ship around and to correct it immediately. And that's what you were hoping Pittman could do. Let's get to some of this here. Really good conversation. I wasn't so sure we'd be having. How about the players rallying around Kenny Guiton? This is what Andrew Armstrong had to say yesterday, asking about Kenny Guiton handling the situation. He's handling it well right now. Armstrong said he's not panicking like you would think a new coach or anything like that would do in this time that we're in here in the middle of the season. He shows a lot of poise. He's very calm. Like KJ said, he makes sure everything is right. If it's wrong, we just do it again and move on to the next thing. So Andrew Armstrong and KJ both, if you watched KJ's interview, I guess that was yesterday, I thought he looked, I don't know. I mean, he kind of has that same face, maybe a little bit more excitement there. Sam Pittman says they're rallying around Kenny Guiton. If I can pull up my exact quote here, I have. Kids rallied around Kenny Guiton. So this is what Sam had to say. So he was asked, how are they rallying? I think it was Bob Holt that asked this question. Like, what is he seeing in practice that shows him that they're rallying around Kenny Guiton, the new offense coordinator? Sam replied, the way they practice would be the number one thing. Practices were moving faster, more physical. That may have something to do with a lot of other coaches as well, but you could feel it a little bit that the kids have embraced change. I'm saying a lot of that is probably because of Kenny. This is the thing that I had noticed before. I noticed it in spring camp when I was actually on the other side of the field watching the receivers practice with Kenny Guiton. I think they really do like playing for him. I mean, that was the vibe that I got. I think they're probably pretty excited about this. Now, he's obviously not coaching the receivers anymore. He's coaching the quarterbacks, but I would love to see how that was something I was looking forward to this week. I talked about that in Patreon. I was looking forward to the idea of getting to see Kenny Guiton and the quarterbacks and posting that footage online for you guys, but we're gonna have to wait till next week, it looks like, to post that kind of content. But we will get to see it live in action. We're all gonna get to see it together in real time. Just kind of what to expect. Not that we would have a lot more. It's not like they're gonna print out the blueprints and give them to the media, but you'd at least have a little bit of an idea of how they're kind of interacting with Kenny. But I've seen him work with the receivers a little bit. And I'm not saying he's jumping up and down going crazy, but the vibe that I always got was that they like playing for him. And so, yeah. Kenny in action, what's it look like? So just kind of some more questions about what exactly has transpired in practice with Kenny kind of calling the plays and whatnot. Sam responds, we've done a lot of non-scripted plays so Kenny can get in kind of a groove of moving the ball. And second in this, remember this is a quote. This is like a live quote, so it might sound a little so he can have opportunities. I want to read that again. So Kenny can kind of get in the groove of moving the ball, and second in this, so he can have opportunities. We've done several 2 minutes yesterday. We had a 3rd and 6 situation with 22 seconds left. Just did a situation so we could talk through that as well. We were in no timeouts. Toro alert. What are you going to call, or what are you going to call to get the ball out of bounds? So a little bit of situational play calling, which is something Sam has always harped on since he's been here. He really likes to go over situational play calling, which I think a lot of coaches do. I don't think that's just something he brought over from Kirby Smart. I think that's something a lot of coaches do. Are you going to call something to get a first down, and then are we going to kill it? All these types of things I think will help him and help his calmness. We've been working on all those things. He's been very, very good in those situations. Very, very good in 3 2-minute periods that we've ran, and in moving the ball, moving the chains. It's easy to look down at your piece of paper and call it a play and call a play. It's harder if you it's harder if you just now know it's 2nd and 8. What am I going to call? We just put him in those situations, and I think he's doing really well. So a little bit of situational play calling. Sometimes it's kind of hard to read his quotes because he kind of veers off a little bit in what he's saying, and then he switches midway through his sentence. And I'm there in the Zoom call too, trying to type out what he's saying to Patreon chat, and it's sometimes I'm like, all right, I'm just going to let him talk, and then try to summarize as best I can. There was another question. Now, I saved it. I mean, it was the end of the Zoom call anyways. But he was asked about communication between the offensive line and I guess the offense. What it says here, Tom Murphy asked if communicating blocking scheme was part of the firings as much as anything. And although I thought it was asked a little bit differently. Yeah, it really was. This was Sam. Long pause. Yeah, I just don't want to get in it. I don't really want to go back too far, but yes, I don't know what to say to that. I don't want to say anything else about it, to be honest with you. Sorry, it was a good question. I just ... The more I hear him talk about, and again, I don't know if that was specifically just to. I thought the way it was asked, and again, I may have to go back and re-listen to it. I thought the way it was asked was it part of the issues with the offense? I didn't know. Again, I'll go back and listen to it, but didn't know it was a question specifically to Dan Enos' firing necessarily. There was certainly something going on there between Sam Pittman and Enos. There was certainly something going on because – they talked last week. They asked Sam about, I think it was last week, right? Yeah, about moving the pocket. And something that Sam had brought up every week, we hear him talk about it to the media. We want to move the pocket. We want to move the pocket. We're practicing moving the pocket. Someone asked him last week, one of the media members asked him, you practiced it, right? Why didn't you do it? Why wasn't it happening on the field? And literally Sam's response was, so clearly there was something going on between Dan Enos. Maybe it was the communication between Enos and Sam Pittman. He said at one point he was questioning the play calling. Sam was saying something like, what the hell are we doing here? I don't know if that's a clear sign that Sam fully handed over the offense to Dan. And he just kind of let Dan do his own thing, and then until it was too late, until he realized that Dan Enos had run this thing completely off the tracks, and that's when they decided to make to fire him, to make the termination call. There's clearly something going on there, and of course we know that Sam has gone back and forth. He's talked a lot about Enos' system and how it's worked and this and that, and how it's. He's a good guy and all that. Like, he's made that perfectly clear. I'm not suggesting that there's any kind of beef between Dan Enos and Sam Pittman, but there was very clear either a communication breakdown between Dan Enos and Sam Pittman, or just straight up Dan Enos telling Sam, you know what, I'm going to do whatever I want. You just stand aside and watch me do it, until it got to the point where Sam said, you know what, to hell with this, your ass is gone. I don't know. I don't know that we'll ever know the story behind that, but it reminds you a little bit of the stuff that you're hearing about the weight room, about the strength conditioning staff. Here we are again. This time it's the offensive coordinator. It's Dan Enos. And it goes back to the evaluation period of when you're sitting down and you're thinking about new OCs to run the offense. How much thought exactly was given into hiring the next guy that was proven that would work well with KJ? It comes off to me like, oops, my good buddy Dan's available maybe over at Maryland. I'm going to give him a call. Not going to really do much more research beyond that. I don't know. And clearly they weren't as good of pals as maybe they thought they were, or maybe Sam. I don't know. I don't want to try and push any kind of narrative. I'm not trying to. Maybe I think they're still good pals. He certainly bragged on Dan Enos after the firing and everything. I think they're fine. I think they're going to go out and have an old cold beer maybe next year or sometime down the road when they're both retired. But it certainly seemed to me like there's some kind of conflict going on. Once again, this time it's not the strength conditioning room. Now it's apparently between Dan Enos and Sam Pittman. And again, I don't know that we'll ever know the truth. Hopefully they've contained the fire, right? They've contained it, and maybe Guiton can simplify this, and dial the right buttons. Sam, and I'll say this again on Friday, these last 4 games, I mean, this is his future. This is between him and the University of Arkansas. This is it, man. I mean, if you can at least win a couple of games, I don't know how you survive, especially if you go 0-8 in SEC play. No, you don't. You shouldn't be retained. I don't know that you should be retained after 4-8, but we're so desperate. The department, the athletic department, the football program, and fans. It's like now we just want to look for something. We want to see light at the end of the hallway, and just getting a couple of games or just seeing a vastly improved offense, which wouldn't take much, you wouldn't think. So we'll see if some of the things that we're going to discuss on Friday. Again, we're going to get more into Florida and Arkansas on Friday, but we'll see what happens if they do move the pocket and they do go majority up-tempo and those sort of things. We'll see what happens. But Sam's ass is on the line here. And I know he said this isn't about my ass. It is. I mean, it absolutely is. If he can't figure out a way to turn this ship around, to get in the right lane, I don't know if I should mention lanes at this time, but the left lane and hammering down. I think they're borrowing that. I think they're on that same highway, apparently. I think they found their way onto Chad Morris's highway. And they're stuck in the left lane. I don't know. They're stuck in the slow lane. But here they are again, man. I mean, the offense is as bad as it is, and Kenny Guiton, it's almost like all Kenny Guiton's got to do is put a respectable product on the field, and fans are going to be thrilled. Hire him. Throw whatever you want at him. Oh, my God, we scored 21 points on Florida in Gainesville. Give him whatever he wants. That I feel like that's going to be the reaction if that happens on Saturday. If you're Florida, how do you prepare for this, right? Oh, well, we're going to prepare for it like we're watching Kendall Briles calling the plays. I don't know if it's that simple. I mean, this is someone else entirely. Headed home with Taco Bell. You lucky son of a bitch. I think this will be the week that we turn the jukebox on, says Leslie. Yeah. Camo Gang says, is he the future? No. Who? Are you talking about Guiton? Yeah, I don't know. I'm just simply saying I could see Sam has a history of hiring friends, and he's had Kenny Guiton. He's worked with Kenny Guiton now for, what is this, 3 years? I don't know, man. He has a reputation for doing that, and I don't think he will. I part of me thinks even if they put a good product on the field, he's going to get on that phone. Hopefully he doesn't call Jim Chaney. I know they used to be tight. Hey, Ty, what's up, Philip? How you doing, man? Receivers have been open all year. KJ just doesn't see them. I got to disagree with that. There's been a lot of conversations had about the receivers not getting open, not creating separation. I mean, maybe there's been some times they were open, but I mean, everyone that I've talked with, from Stephen Hamner at QB Spotlight to some other folks in local media who are at the games that see the big picture that you don't see on TV, they're telling me that, no, these guys aren't getting open. Yes, Leslie, there are still some mighty fine tunes to play. I hope so. Don't jinx us like that, Ty. Like what? Wait, what are you talking about? Friends will get that ass fired. Ask Sam next year. Ask Sam after next year. Yeah. All right. I do appreciate you guys. Dan Tanner says Pittman is an inexperienced head coach. He can't call plays, right? He doesn't even know. He doesn't even know when to kick a field goal. His usage of timeouts this year have been bizarre. Tell me they haven't. They've been bizarre. Very telling of an inexperienced coach, and he's 4 years in, right? Simplifying playbook might help the O-line run blocking. Seems like they I can't read the rest of that comment. Seems like they are on different pages of gap/zone blocking. Pittman talked about that. We just read it about some of the communication issues that they had. One other thing really quick. I was going to mention the player that struck me as, well, at the very least, it was interesting what he had to say. Sam was asked by Otis Kirk about redshirting, and one of the comments that he made, if I can pull it up, he asked about red shirts, who was going to play or whatnot. He talked about Maddox Lassiter a little bit, but he also said we've also talked about Malachi Singleton, and not only not as a quarterback necessarily right now, but as something, whether it be helping us on special teams or somewhere, because he's very talented, big athlete. He's built like a running back. I've said that for years, or like a linebacker. I mean, he's built like a hoss. Special teams. That was strange. I mean, I know, listen, there's something to be said about just getting on the field as a college football player, that opportunity to just get on the field. I get it. That's a big deal to these players. I understand that. But special teams, I don't know. That was interesting. I guess maybe kick return. Maybe you put him kind of in the middle early in a game. Maybe give him an opportunity. I don't know. I mean, because they're not going to return a kick out. I don't know what else you would do with him. Holder, is he going to be a placeholder? Is he going to be a holder? I don't know. That was very kind of. What? Like what you want to do what with him? I've never heard of that. I've never heard of a even a third string quarterback being tossed out, unless it's something for like a trick play, maybe. I don't know. I guess we'll have to wait and see if he makes the field. Also, Rocket Sanders, he talked about Rocket a little bit. What Sam wants to see out of him. If I can find it here. What do you need to see out of Rocket the rest of the week for him to play? Sam said probably just another couple of days of consistency, flashes that I've seen. I feel really good about him being able to play, but just another couple of days of consistency. Today is a big third down day for us. How is he going to protect and things of that nature? Just the whole week of what whole Monday of what the whole Monday through Thursday encompasses. But the first 2 days, I feel confident that he will be able to go out and help us. If Rocket is able to play, is he on a snap count? And Sam says, I think usually in younger kids, you're protecting them a little bit more. Rocket, he knows his own body, and I think we'll just listen to him. If he gets to that point, we'll let him be the guy that decides whether he needs a break or not. I'm going to say, I guess I'm eating my own words. I didn't think he would play again. It's certainly sounding realistic that Rocket could play on Saturday. So, all right. There you go. That's going to do it. I appreciate you guys. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Who you going to get? That's right, Tercer. I don't know. Who you going to get? I'll see you guys on Patreon supporters tomorrow. Tomorrow, Patreon supporters, 10 a.m. We're going to talk with Blake Lovell from Southeastern 14. We're going to get down to some Hog basketball. You guys make sure to be there. Again, you got to be a Patreon supporter. I'm going to throw the link to you one more time. See, 50. Bob Knight did not die. Don't. Are you serious? Here we go again, man. Here we go again. It's always when I'm live this stuff happens. Rest in peace, Bob Knight. If he really did die, that's really sad. I'll see Patreon supporters tomorrow. The rest of you, I will see on Friday. All right? You guys take care. And try to stay warm. It's awfully cold out there.